in Los Angeles, California. Wednesday's drawing will now be worth at least $550 million. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift, good towards pillows and more.
Is this the title?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
Here's the most important statistic from week 1 of the NFL season. 14 NFL teams started a black quarterback. That's the highest number in league history for any weekend. Almost half of the NFL's 32 teams started a black quarterback. There's a lot to criticize about the NFL, but it's obvious that progress and diversity has come to the quarterback position. The winners, Jalen Hurts of Philadelphia, Cleveland's Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson of Baltimore, Dak Prescott of Dallas, Jordan Love of Green Bay, and Desmond Ridder of Atlanta. The NBA Board of Governors are expected to approve a new rule that punishes teams for resting players for national TV games. Teams will also be fined for allowing multiple All-Stars to sit out a game if they're not injured. Fines could get as high as $1 million. Hope the Clippers get this memo. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
You used to call me on my. You used to. Yeah. You used to call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love. Call me on my cell phone. Late night when you need my love. And I know when that hotline blink, that can only mean one thing. I know when that hotline blink, that can only mean one thing. Ever since I left the city, you
KBLA Talk 1580. Yep. You used to. 800-920-1580. You used to, and you finna. 800-920-1580. Let's talk about it. Whatever is on your mind. So much on the national landscape and on your local, wherever you might be. We know we have KBLA delegates all over the country, and that is a blessing in itself. So love to hear from you today. And always, I'm going to go to Willie from Palmdale because he has been patient. Good morning, Willie.
Dominique. Good morning, Dominique. I want to I have two questions I want to ask. I want to ask you, which one you think would be more dominant, Wall Street versus Federal Reserve System?
Ooh, I don't know if I'm even qualified to answer that. My guess is Wall Street, because
Okay.
Wall Street, represents the oligarchs, right? The big long money. But I don't. You know what? That's the Federal Reserve. I wish Andre Eglejon was still with us. He was so good at breaking down how there's sort of this strange organization that's, somewhat government, somewhat not, somewhat accountable, somewhat not. I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer that. What do you think, Willie?
Well, I think Wall Street, because I think we work for Wall Street. They are boss.
Right? It's always the money, right?
Yeah. And the other question statement I want to. I heard a student say at USC before. He said, "I wish I could have just went to a community college. My parents wouldn't have to pay all this money for me to get I could have got the basics at a community college and paid less."
Yeah. Well, and that's why a lot of people, myself included, feel like free college for all, at least those first couple of years, right, to get your AA or whatever that might be, should be a thing. Just like we have high school and people say, oh, it's too expensive. No, war is too expensive. Here's the thing about free college for all, especially that, those first 2 years of undergraduate, the basic sort of general education classes, is that they said free high school was impossible, and then we did it, and now we all expect it. So it's just a matter of budget priorities.
Yeah, because California budget 11 years ago was 15 billion. Today it's 34 billion. That was only 11 years ago.
Wow, but stuff is a lot more expensive. And I don't know, I don't know what slice of that is education, but I do know that a lot of our education funding is allocated by the feds, right? And when you look at federal spending, it's overwhelmingly and unquestioningly military spending, unnecessary military spending. This year's budget is a perfect example where Congress gave more money to the military-industrial complex than they were even asking for. More than the president was asking for, more than they were asking for. Here, have some extra money. Oh, but we don't have money to fund the child tax credit and pull 4 million American children out of poverty. But, oh, go ahead, military, more than you were asking for. Insanity.
Yeah. And like Tupac said, we got money for war, but not money to feed the poor.
Yeah, he did say that. What's up, Willie? Why you call here and quiz me?
Well, you know what? I always want to ask you. I remember when you used to put down your guests on a sheet through the whole week, and so people can go there and say, okay, they talk to this person. I can Google them. But now you got to kind of like be fast on your brains.
Wait, when did I do that? I don't remember ever doing that. You know why I don't like to do it? Because folks flake out early in the morning, and you say so-and-so's coming in, and I guess so-and-so overslept.
But it was like a spread. It was like a spreadsheet of your guests, like Maxine Waters. You would have all your guests printed up.
I don't remember doing that. Okay, well, maybe someone that was helping me did that. But what I will say, though, is you can check my social media. You can go to KBLA 1580. We tend to post at least what's happening the next day. And you can follow me, DePrima Radio, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And we do post what's coming the next day. It won't give you a spreadsheet for the whole week, but at least you'll know what's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I can do the KBLA. I'm not that savvy in the technology. It's just like when your son had to fix the camera on the N word.
Well, I appreciate you. I'll try to do a better job, but I'm not going to make any promises on promoting.
No.
Promoting what's coming up next. You could just commit to listening every single day. That would be great. I know it's a lot to ask, but I appreciate you, Willie. You doing all right?
I'm doing good. I'm like Mr. Smarty said, if I complain, I'd be an ingrate.
He does say that. He says it a lot. I must be an ingrate because I'd be over here complaining. No, I'm not. I'm very grateful. But thank you, Willie. I appreciate you. And the unofficial historian of a KBLA, of the KBLA delegation, is on the phone right now. Fixico, welcome.
Yes, greetings, Madam President. This is tying into your earlier conversation with Professor Akili. I have a Beverly Hills story. I worked in Beverly Hills, in the Beverly Hills plastic surgery community for over 20 years. Working there during the O.J. and Rodney King era was quite intense, I'll say. I came in as a certified surgical technologist, and in 1992, I passed the boards to become a certified surgical first assistant. Although I had the highest credentials in Beverly Hills because I was a charter member, it was a new designation, I had to work for a surgery center with no benefits, and I was stopped and observed on occasion, shall we say, by police. I told one, the surgeon, I say, I was just sitting out in front of, waiting for you to come here, and, they wouldn't leave. He said they were doing their job. So, you could tell his attitude was.
Wow,
so
that's
anyway,
crazy.
That's all I have for you.
You have had some jobs, Fixico. You have had some jobs, I got to say. I didn't know that about you. But I mean, so clearly that class action suit that the city of Beverly Hills is facing from Attorney Gage and Attorney Crump does not surprise you.
Not at all. I'm not familiar with it enough to really discuss it, but even before, in the early 80s, I worked at a Cedars-Sinai as an endoscopy technician, and going and coming there could be a bit problematic at times. So, driving through the neighborhood.
Yeah, Beverly Hills. It's Beverly Hills adjacent. It's kind of Beverly Hills, right? Cedars-Sinai?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you made it out. I'm glad you made it out okay. That's that maroon descendant. You know how to go through the jungles of Beverly Hills. Let me tell you something. To me, it's nerve-wracking even driving through over there, just because you know how they profile folks. You could be a movie producer, or an actual, criminal. Doesn't matter. They gonna profile you anyway.
O.J. trial and Rodney King era, you can imagine how intense that was. You felt like you were tiptoeing on a razor blade going through there.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'll be back. I'll be calling you guys occasionally.
All right, it's great to hear from you, Fixico. Thanks for sharing that story. It's really true that that period, that's right when I came to L.A., right during that whole OJ period. Woo, that's a throwback you don't want in your life, because the way that non-black LA was treating black people and other people of color, but the anti-blackness of that era was just thickety thick. I remember coming from the Bay Area, and I just was not ready for and yeah, we know it's still there, the white supremacy and such. But at that time, I don't know if I would have even ventured into Beverly Hills. Love to hear from you. It's a great time to call me, 800-920-1580. We're talking Reparations Hour 3, but I do want to bring you up to date on news from the Caribbean about their quest for reparations. I'm sure King Charles is mighty mad today. I'll share that with you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique the when we come forward.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
The Black Hollywood Education and Resource Center proudly presents its 25th annual Real Black Men Short Film Showcase, September 22nd through September 24th. Join us for the opening night celebration on Friday, September 22nd, and enjoy the short film showcase featuring 47 films by emerging black male directors from across the country. Continuing on Saturday, September 23rd and Sunday, September 24th. All events will be held at the Regal LA Live Cinemas, 1000 West Olympic Boulevard in downtown Los Angeles. For more information and tickets, visit bherc.org. That's bherc.org or call 323-957-4656. That's 323-957-4656. Don't miss your chance to celebrate excellence in black cinema all weekend long at the Real Black Men Short Film Showcase. See you there.
Moments like seeing my son's team cheer him on mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative MBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Yeah, a lot going on as always worldwide, but I think time for a palate refresher, something that seems like good news to me. There's a lot of it, actually, quite a bit of it these days, tucked in between the crazy. So, a bunch of former British colonies are going to send a letter. They're going to send letters each individually demanding actually an apology for slavery and reparations. These letters are going out to who? The British royal family. They're also going to go out to other British institutions that were involved in profiting off of human beings, what they call the transatlantic slave trade. They are talking about Lloyd's of London, an insurance company which has admitted to making a ton of money off of the enslavement of black people. In fact, they issued an apology. King Charles, that even sounds crazy to say, King Charles has expressed personal sorrow. Personal sorrow is what he said, for the suffering caused by the slave trade. And that's interesting because even though it sounds like, something spontaneous, this colonizer probably met with his lawyers to find out what he could say that would make him seem like he wasn't a raging racist, but wouldn't make him liable for any kind of reparation, right? Personal sorrow. It's not an apology. It's not taking responsibility. If I punch you in the mouth and then I say I'm expressing personal sorrow that you get punched in the mouth, I'm not now liable for punching you in the mouth unless you can prove it, right? Oh, I'm expressing personal sorrow that someone stole your money. And that someone just so happens to be me. Charles III, yes, personal sorrow, and he's vowed to deepen his own understanding of slavery's enduring impact. Well, you can start by giving back some of those diamonds, Mr. Colonizer. Well, it seems like they might, we'll see. They might be forced to do so. So it's the royal family. It is Lloyd's of London and other insurance companies and other institutions that have, British institutions that have benefited from enslavement. They should be getting letters by early next year demanding an apology and reparation, as we see in more and more documentation coming forward about how they profited. And it's so funny to me because I've been on the BBC a few times. They've called me to talk about various things. And one of the things I've had the opportunity to talk about is the royal family. And I get such hard pushback from a lot of British people, especially people that aren't black, for saying that the British royal family are colonizers. It was the imperial crown, right? That they have profited by taking human resources, diamonds, and other valuables out of Africa and all of the colonies. And the fact that I say that they are still doing it because the Commonwealth is like colonizer light, right? Now you get to supposedly choose, I'm using air quotes, your head of state, but yet it's a big deal to try to remove the British head of state. And the money that, the British crown is still receiving money from those former colonies. Now we see folks ready to shake that off. The British paper The Guardian reported this year, right before King Charles III got that stolen diamond-encrusted crown placed upon his head, that his ancestor, Edward Porteous, bought at least 200 shackled Africans from the Royal African Company as early as 1686, and they took those enslaved Africans to his plantation in Virginia, his tobacco plantation. Now, we know there's much more to it than that, right? There's the actual pillaging of resources from the African continent and from the colonies, aka the Commonwealth. But we're also seeing more and more direct evidence. And if you follow the royal family, I don't follow their every fart, but I do follow them because Dick Gregory got me on that. Because Dick Gregory was always talking about how the Queen of England is one of the richest people in the world. Where did she get her money? Follow the money. It's from the colonies. It's from black people. And some Indian people too, by the way. One of the biggest diamonds in the world that was pillaged from India belongs, define belongs, is in the custody of the British royal family. And they want their diamond back. Then they also reported in April, The Guardian, this document that had never been uncovered before that proves that this guy named Edward Colston, who was an infamous trader of human beings, transferred Royal African Company shares. A Royal African Company is a British company that was selling Africans to King William III in 1689. Then Buckingham Palace had to put out a statement about it, saying that Charles supports further research into the relationship between the British monarchy and the historic enslavement of Africans in its colonies. See how slick they are? The enslavement of Africans in its colonies, like they had nothing to do with it. It just happened to be happening in them colonies. Yeah. Tisk, tisk. But here's the thing. You guys were profiting off of it, right? And it's very, very interesting, and you don't hear a lot of reporting about this, but trust me, if you Google it, you'll find what I'm talking about. The British royal family will not let you see their archives. They have a lot of paperwork, receipts, and much of the information thought to be held in these secret documents that you can't see and I can't see is the information about how much they stole from India, from Africa, from the colonies, from Jamaica to Barbados, wherever they were. They have not apologized beyond Charles's personal sorrow. And there's some other British, the Church of England, for example, they're going to get letters from these Caribbean countries too. They confessed just this year that church leaders knew they were investing in the trade of human beings of African descent during the 18th century. And they said that they're going to spend about $121 million to address their role in the enslavement of black people. But what does that mean? And where is that 121 million going? And if you're just speaking 121 million voluntarily, doesn't that mean it's probably in the billions or trillions what you actually owe? Lloyd's of London is one of the companies that provided insurance to the traders of human beings, to the sellers of human beings for their cargo. And by cargo, I mean your ancestors. They've also apologized. But in the words of Rihanna, better have my money. An apology won't do. It's nice. It's a start. And some don't want to do it because it does seem to admit culpability, which is why, Charles E. was talking about personal sorrow. I got personal sorrow about a lot of things I had nothing to do with. That's not taking responsibility for your family's role and the money you still are spending that is based on human bones, on those bones my dad used to talk about, the highway of bones at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The highway of bones made up of those enslaved Africans that never made it, that perished in the trip, that threw themselves and their children overboard to avoid that fate that they felt was worse than death, the enslavement under the system of enslavement that was specially and specifically targeted to black people, which was more brutal than any other enslavement the world has ever known. Yeah, Lloyd's of London says, we're sorry for the role played by the Lloyd's market in the 18th and 19th century slave trade. It was an appalling and shameful period of British history as well as our own, and we condemn the indefensible wrongdoing that occurred during this period. Blah, 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 blah. Where is the money? Where is the money? That's what I want to know. And when did they apologize? 2020. We know what that was about. Thank you, Black Lives Matter. Thank you, George Floyd. Thank you, protesters. Yeah, they apologized. Does that apology make it more likely that black Brits will see reparation? I hope so. Reparation from the private sector, as we talked about on yesterday, i.e. a Lloyd's of London, right? Or the institutions of government, i.e. the British royal family. And those persons, individuals who have continued to spend that money, right? Whether they be the descendants of the African royal slave trading company, which is, I added the slave in there, or whether they be the British royal family, which has vast holdings of land and wealth and jewels. Where did those jewels come from? I'll tell you one thing, they did not come from Britain. How did you get those jewels? And did you pay for them? I sound like the movie Black Panther. I sound like Killmonger. But that is real. You are invited into the conversation. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. Update you on some national conversations when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Suspended Michigan State University head football coach, African-American Mel Tucker, says the sexual harassment allegations made against him by a rape survivor and activist are completely false. Those are his words in a statement released by his attorney. Tucker acknowledged having what he called an intimate adult relationship with the woman and says he thinks the investigation is being used to get MSU to terminate the 10-year, $95 million contract he signed 2 years ago. A new survey shows more Americans are worried about access to credit as banks tighten their approval standards. According to the New York Federal Reserve, nearly 60% of the respondents indicated it's harder to get loans, credit cards, and mortgages now than it was a year ago. That's the highest level in more than a decade. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Score big on sleep and savings during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable beds and get a $300 instant gift, good towards pillows and more.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Here's the most important statistic from week 1 of the NFL season. 14 NFL teams started a black quarterback. That's the highest number in league history for any weekend. Almost half of the NFL's 32 teams started a black quarterback. There's a lot to criticize about the NFL, but it's obvious that progress and diversity has come to the quarterback position. The winners, Jalen Hurts of Philadelphia, Cleveland's Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson of Baltimore, Dak Prescott of Dallas, Jordan Love of Green Bay, and Desmond Ridder of Atlanta. The NBA Board of Governors are expected to approve a new rule that punishes teams for resting players for national TV games. Teams will also be fined for allowing multiple All-Stars to sit out a game if they're not injured. Fines could get as high as $1 million. Hope the Clippers get this memo. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know addiction to drugs like meth or cocaine is a disease and not a choice? But getting help is. If you have stimulant use disorder, you, your family, and friends may have a lot of questions, including where to start. Choose Change California can help. Make a change today and find a proven treatment option for you at choosechangeca.org.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp. The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus, Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Zoe Williams, the voice of reason from KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, if you're in the market for the best prices and the fastest delivery for custom-made roller shade, LA Custom Blinds is the place to be. Schedule a free estimate and they will come to your house, measure your windows, and bring a variety of fabrics to choose from. And then come back and install it all for free. The best part is that their factory is located right here in downtown Los Angeles, so they make the shades really fast. All you gotta do is go to lacustomblinds.com and schedule your free in-home estimate right now. Tell them Zoe Williams sent you.
Extended Family Outreach Ministry presents Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. Morning worship, keynote address, and conference featuring women in creative arts ministry and leadership sharing our stories, His glory, giving all praise, honor, thanksgiving, and glory to God. Don't miss the afternoon Stand Up and Sing Praises concert with the Katinas, gospel singer Babby Mason, Three Daughters, and Kevin Click. That's Praise Fest 2023, Worthy to be Praised Conference and Concert, September 23rd, Redondo Beach Performing Arts Center. For more information and tickets, go to PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com. Plus, for the next 48 hours, use promo code KBLA48 to get your tickets free. You do not want to miss this day of praise. That's PraiseFest 2023 at Eventbrite.com.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried New Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
Ugh, I don't have time for a cold.
Honey.
Honey?
You need DayQuil Severe Honey flavor.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honey-licious taste. Because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe Honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honey-licious. Power through your day, medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of...
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Yes, it's a great time to call me. 800-920-1580. 800-920-1580. I'm laughing because I am really tripping. I'm like thinking it's Thursday when it's actually a Talking Point Tuesday. That means it's a great day to debunk the talking points, and we'll be doing just that like we always do when it comes to reparations. 800-920-1580 if you want to unpack some propaganda right now. Today's episode of First Things First is brought to you by Wealth Management Financial Advisors. They've got tax services, they've got financial planning, and more. Whether you are a small business and your deadline is looming, a nonprofit and your paperwork ain't straight, or you are an individual, give them a call, 562-427-8877, 562-427-8877. All right. I'm on one about reparations, but that's because I feel like we are at a crossroads, and if we don't seize this moment, the moment will pass. We need to, well, it won't pass, but it'll take a lot longer. Let me put it that way. We need to continue with this momentum, and I love that these Caribbean nations are seizing the moment and doing just that. Yeah. Okay. So a police officer in Philadelphia named, what is the guy's name? He's been suspended, and that's amazing because Philadelphia has a very strong, what they call the Fraternal Order of Police. Their police association is very gangsta. This guy has been charged with a murder. He shot a 27-year-old guy who was inside his car, shot him almost point blank. The officer's name is Mark Dial. He's charged with voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, simple assault, possession of an instrument of crime, reckless endangerment of another person, according to the New York Times, and official oppression. This guy's name is Eddie Irizarry, the guy who was killed. And this is one of those cases where we learn not to trust the official story. Police said that they chased him and that he lunged at them with a knife. But 2 days later, they looked at the body camera footage and it showed the man never got out of his car, so he couldn't have lunged at them with a knife. When the officer shot him, he shot him in the car. They've been having a lot of protests over this, and now he has been charged in that shooting, which is, pretty unusual. Speaking of national stories in the policing space, the petition to stop Cop City right now is kind of in a holding pattern. That's because the activists have been collecting signatures, lots and lots of signatures. They delivered dozens of boxes of signed petitions to Atlanta City Hall on yesterday because they want to put an initiative on the ballot to let voters decide about this police training center in the middle of a black community, which is really like a military occupation of a black neighborhood in Atlanta. But Atlanta officials are refusing to verify those signatures. They are slow walking and trying to keep, which to me, that seems completely illegal, undemocratic. The activists were celebrating because they got more than 116,000 signatures way more than they needed to get a vote on Cop City. But they started bringing all these boxes to the clerk's office, and Atlanta officials say they are legally barred from beginning the process of verifying those forms because the organizers were supposed to bring them earlier. The organizers were supposed to bring them by August 21st is what they're saying, but a federal judge had extended the deadline to September. And then another court, an appeals court, has paused the enforcement of that order. So what is happening is that officials are using the sort of, I don't know, stalemate, if you will, or the pending decision by a court to not verify those signatures. They need to go ahead and verify those signatures. It's a way of shutting down the voice and the will of the people in this case. The city's legal team saying they're following the law and waiting for a decision from the Court of Appeals about whether or not that deadline extension was lawful. But look, a judge extended the deadline. The activists were complying with what the judge said. You need to count those votes, those signatures, and verify them. At least they will be able to get on the ballot pending that decision by the judge. And it is slow walking and, shenanigans, because the City Council of Atlanta keeps voting in favor of this 84-acre giant military cop complex in the middle of a black area to the tune of $90 million. But now they're trying to stop the people from weighing in, which is insane. And just the kind of things we are keeping an eye on around here. In fact, I know Black Lives Matter has a Stop Cop City petition. If you want to sign in while they're waiting to count them, it's up at BLM grassroots website. So it seems like a season of these natural disasters, the kind that make folks talk about the end of the world. I know we've had disasters throughout human history. It's important to keep that in perspective, but still, the fact that this earthquake in Morocco, it's a 6.8 magnitude, which is big, as I've said. It's the biggest they've had in a long time, but not the biggest, not bigger than some of the huge ones here in California. 2,500 people dead, though, now. Thousands of people injured and displaced, people sleeping outside. And apparently Morocco has been limiting who they will accept help from. So far, they're only taking search and rescue teams from Britain, Qatar, Spain, and the UAE, what they're calling friendly countries, and not accepting aid from others, including the United States. Seems very, very perilous in this kind of moment of utter despair and disaster for so many people there in that North African nation. Meanwhile, there's a flood, massive flood in Libya from a storm named Daniel. Again, as many as 2,000 people they think may be dead from this one flood that broke dams and entire neighborhoods just washed out. This is, they saying the biggest damages in a place called Derna, which is a city in Libya. And Libya is still facing a lot of instability, right? There's two different governments, one in the west and one in the east, with two different militias that or governing groups that are backed by different sets of foreign governments. So they are not in the best position to respond to something like this. And I don't know. I haven't done the specific research on this storm to know what the connection is to the climate crisis, but it certainly seems like these kinds of storms we'll be expecting more and more of them. So hopefully our international response becomes more and more sophisticated. The U.S. is now looking at, looks like they're going to go ahead with a prisoner swap with Iran, which will free five Americans, some who have been held for quite some time, and they're going to give back 5 Iranians and free up $6 billion in frozen funds. You can expect lots of squawking from conservatives on that. And it's just the kind of deal where if he who shall not be named did it, they would be calling him a hero for freeing imprisoned Americans in the Middle East. 800-920-1580, that's the number if you want to call me, and I'd love to hear from you. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique the when we come forward.
Hi, this is LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to the 28th Annual Central Avenue Jazz Festival on September the 23rd from 11 to 7 p.m. For nearly 3 decades, the Central Avenue Jazz Festival has paid homage to the legendary Central Avenue and its influence on jazz history. Jazz, blues, and Latin jazz will be featured on 3 stages of music. Co-headlining are Hubert Laws, with special guests Eloise Laws, and the Billy Childs Quartet, featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. Parking is limited, so Metro and rideshare are recommended. Hubert Laws, with special guests Eloise Laws, and the Billy Childs Quartet, featuring Sean Jones. The day includes plenty of food, merchants, and 4 pavilions focused on youth programming, art, health and wellness, and public resources. For more information, visit CentralAveJazzFest.com. CentralAveJazzFest.com. See you on the 23rd.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. I know you've been hearing the promo over and over again about our event this Saturday, about contracts and how you can get in the contract pipeline. Just want to remind you, it is this Saturday. Space is limited. Here's Dion Rambo to tell you more about what you can expect this Saturday.
Yo, what's up? This is Rambo, and again, you know the 3 words, contracts, contracts, contracts. This Saturday, there's one place you have to go right now, KBLA1580.com. If you want to see us talk about contracts, talk about grants, you got Caltrans who made all this possible. I'm super excited. You guys all know Rambo's been in the community fighting for you. Now, we got Tavis fighting alongside. This is huge. KBLA1580.com this Saturday. See you guys.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique the right now.
Right now, one of the victims of that Jacksonville white supremacist, white extremist, nationalist attack was laid to rest on Friday. Angela Michelle Carr, a mother of 3 adult children, had her funeral on Friday. Al Sharpton delivered the remarks there. And this is, remember, there's so many white nationalist extremist attacks going on. You may not remember, this is the one at the Dollar General store in Jacksonville. 3 people who were killed by a 21-year-old who also ended up killing himself. And again, Reverend Sharpton asking how this guy was able to get an assault rifle after being involuntary committed for a mental health exam back in 2017. Back to even those of us who support the Second Amendment, as I myself do, who feel that universal background checks make sense so that mentally ill and or aggressive terrorists do not have access to weaponry, especially assault rifles. Here we go again. Some of us thought that the Crown Act was a good thing, but maybe not a crucial thing. And once again, we're reminded that it is. There's a young student, a 17-year-old high school student in Texas, of course. I have nothing against you, Texas, but stop it. This guy's name is Gerald George. He was a junior at, ironically named Barbers Hill High School. And he got suspended for having locks. And he got suspended for having locks the same week that the Crown Act went into effect in Texas. They said his locks violated the district's dress code, and his mama says they might be suing and testing out the new Crown Act there in Texas. The school is trying to say it's because his hair was too long. But of course, he was targeted, being a young person and having locks. He has great GPA. He's a good student. The only thing that they were mad about was his hair. And here we go again. We see once again how important the Crown Act really is. Something that would be easy to overlook. Why are we doing legislation about hair? Why are we the only people in the known universe that need a law to allow us to wear our hair the way it grows? To be left alone with what God gave us, what the universe, the Lord, whatever, however you look at it, what our DNA made to come out of our heads, it has to be protected by a law, or y'all won't leave us alone. We get fired, demoted, suspended, harassed because of hair? Insanity. And we shall see how this plays out. I am glad that this young person who's been suspended for a week for no good reason has a law to fall back on. 24 states now have their own versions of the Crown Act. It started here in California. Thank you, Holly Mitchell, Supervisor Holly Mitchell. And now it's gone on to 24 states, even though, like most very important things, it has yet to get a federal law into place. But 24 states, it's a good start. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for voting rights. When We All Vote is a leading national nonpartisan initiative on a mission to change the culture around voting and to increase participation in each and every election by helping to close the race and age gap. Created by Michelle Obama, When We All Vote brings together individuals, institutions, brands, and organizations to register new voters across the country and advance civic education for the entire family and voters of every age to build an informed and engaged electorate for today and generations to come. When We All Vote empowers their supporters and volunteers to take action through voting, advocating for their rights, and holding their elected officials accountable. Please visit whenweallvote.org to stand up for your rights, voting rights. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Well, thanks, Fahima, for this article from Truth Out about these Nazi rallies that happened in near Jacksonville, right a week after those murders that I was talking about just moments ago. There were two, one in Orlando, which is about 150 miles from Jacksonville, where there were actually uniformed neo-Nazi white supremacists marching and shouting racist and anti-Semitic slogans. They got a picture here. They're carrying swastika flags. And then there was another one at Disney World organized by the Order of the Black Sun, which is a local neo-Nazi group. They only had a little over a dozen people, but they had banners and signs covered with racist slurs. So in case you thought that this was just a mentally ill, lost young person shooting black folks, no, it is part of a movement which the FBI keeps mentioning, but the mainstream press barely covers. And then there was another bigger rally, this one in a place called Altamont Springs, which is a suburb of Orlando, the March of the Red Shirts. Dozens of people attended. The Blood Tribe and the Goyim Defense League are the names of these folks. And they all had red shirts and black masks, and they had swastika flags. So this is what's going on down in Florida. Thank you, Ron DeSantis. In against that backdrop, we bury our dead. And by our dead, I mean all progressive people, all conscious people, but particularly black people, because those folks in Jacksonville were killed for no other reason than simply being black. We'll get into our conversation on reparations next hour. It's an ongoing conversation with Commissioner Kansa Jones-Mohammed. Here's another palate refresher for you. Another lawsuit to block the former president from the ballot in 2024. This one coming out in Minnesota. They are invoking the 14th Amendment's insurrectionist ban. That means if you have taken an oath to serve loyally to the United States in any capacity and then given aid and comfort to those who are overthrowing or trying to overthrow the U.S. government or plotting and conspiring to do so yourself, you no longer qualify to serve in any public office. CNN says the cases are legal long shots. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. Trump denies wrongdoing. I love that they exist. It has to be part of the public conversation. It'd be amazing if we could keep him off the ballot, but even if we can't, this is a real consequence of what you did. And it's important to make it clear that these are crimes. It's a crime. You're the president. You don't get to foster an attack on the Capitol. You don't get to advocate or silently sit by as the puppet master while people want to kill your vice president. Those are crimes. And these lawsuits make that clear. This one filed by Free Speech for the People. It's an organization there in Minnesota. And they're trying to stop Trump from being on the ballot. That would be massive victory for democracy, because it's a lot harder to win if folks have to write you in. Trust and believe. Looking forward to our daily deep dive today with KBLA Jones-Mohammed. Yes, that's right. That's where it is. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike, intimate adult relationship with a woman, and says he thinks the investigation is being used to get MSU to terminate the 10-year, $95 million